So at this time, each board rep will give a house report. Vice presidents will, and members of COCO will simply state their name, which house they're from, and their gender pronouns, and we'll move on. So just to give a clear idea of what's going to happen, later on, item 5 will be staff and committee reports, and at that point, Nick as the GM and each vice president and myself as the chair of COCO will give brief updates on what's going on in our committee. So this time is reserved for intros and house reports. My name is Maya. She and her work fine for me, and I'm your ICC president. I hail from Linder House.
I'm Tyler. I use he, him, and him, and I'm not going to
So at this point too, you'll give a quick update on what's going on at NOC. Obviously you haven't had time to prepare, but just like a couple things would be great.
just all the old people moved out, new people moved in. Our houses, we're renovating our attic this summer, so 2 of our rooms have been closed off.
Cool.
I am Nick, and I'm the GM.
I'm Jose. He, him, his work for me. I'm from Luther House, and I don't know if anybody's been inside Luther. I know we're like outside of it. It's like the cleanest it'll ever be right now. It's I know, surprising, right? But yeah, it's very clean right now, so you should check it out through the window or anything.
Not creepy at all. I'll do it late at night, don't worry about it.
Or mask.
I'm Margaret, she, her, and hers. I'm from Minnie's, and we just decided that our party and work holiday will be next weekend. Come over on Friday.
Should I just repeat?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Unique, she, her, hers, and I'm VP for this.
I'm Jeremy from Baker House. I use he, him, and his. And we had an officer election yesterday, so we're all set for the spring.
I'm Andy, he, him, his, Vice President, Major Maintenance.
I'm Patrick, he, him, his, and I'm the Vice President for Education.
Elena Owens, she, her, hers. We've been having bonfires and there are plans, and it's very probable that we will enact on those plans to catch wildlife and burn them in fire and eat them. So, like squirrels and possums, sweeps and rabbits. So, yeah. Not me meaning like, not me personally.
I can't follow that. Why didn't you have to do that before me? It's not fair at all.
He's over there.
My name is Eric. I use he, him, and his. I am the Vice President for Recruitment and Retention.
I'm Julie, she, her, and hers. I'm Margaret from Usher. We also just had officer elections, and we have work holiday coming up at the end of this month, and we still have a lot of people moving out, but some new people moving in, and I'm sure Kayla can cover what I forgot.
I'm Emily, I use she, her, hers, and I'm VP for diversity.
I'm Kayla, she, her, hers, board rep for Escher. As of May 5th, we are 1 house instead of like 2 plus this random weird 3rd house. And so that's going well. It'll be interesting this summer to see how things go under our new constitution. And we are having our first officer meeting on Wednesday after everybody's started.
So Nick, are you keeping time, or do you mind keeping time?
Yeah.
If you could, that'd be great. Thank you so much. So typically we'll have a time person and a minutes taker. It's a little ambitious to ask to take minutes at a mock board meeting, so I'm not doing it, but just imagine that someone is there. Okay, great. So it looks like we have 5 minutes remaining. Does anybody have any questions for anybody who give a report? Yeah, any?
So I just don't know enough about Escher, but like, what were the 3 houses, and why did you choose the name Escher?
So it was Renaissance and O'Keefe. So first of all, our house has 9 suites. 4, which are like little groups, kind of like a little smaller than the size of a central campus co-op, like 16 to 20-ish people. And on one side was Renaissance, and then the other side, which I've heard was the other side of the tofu curtain, was O'Keefe. And then there was Escher, which was like sort of this governing thing that became not really much.
It's the basement.
And then, yeah. And then, this past semester, we had a great group of people who wrote a new constitution for us, and Maya and MEMCOM last semester helped us pass a proposal so that we could keep all of our board reps, 3 board reps. And yeah, and it passed, just like a week or 2 ago, a couple weeks ago, and most people were really happy. And so yeah, and now we're gonna be just one house. Oh, and the name Escher, I mean, I don't know, it's just in the name. And surprisingly, a lot of people in the house do not know who MC Escher is, so I think we need to make an MC Escher mural.
Oh, yeah.
You're here.
It's artist. Draws like pictures of, well, he does the tessellations.
Yeah, and you know that picture was like the stairs and they go all
Yes,
crazy,
it goes in
like
there.
waves.
Yeah, these
Or like
neighbors-
the waterfalls on the buildings
Yeah,
and
he
they're going
uses a
up
lot of
and
like visual
down.
paradoxes, like a hand drawing a hand, which is drawing the first, like hands drawing each other, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty popular. Artist.
I think that name has existed for years. I think it was chosen because we're near the art school and a lot in the engineering schools, and I think he's an artist, but a lot of his work is very like technical and has a lot of geometry and things in it that are kind of engineering.
So in order to keep us on track, I just ask if you have comments to raise hands and we can keep step. Yeah, Patrick.
So how is Escher House handling the departure of the long-standing and beloved info steward?
Well, I mean, we haven't really had a meeting yet. Well, we had the one meeting. It went okay. We struggled through somehow. It happens. On Wednesday, we'll continue.
I sat in that person's couch spot and did my grading of exams because it has a nice amount of table space nearby.
Okay, let's make sure we keep everything relevant to the House reports. Are there any further questions for anyone who gave a report? Great, thank you. Seeing no more questions, we'll move into 2 minutes for minutes approval. Let's suppose that there was a document that was sent out that would have passed in these minutes. In place of any past meeting minutes from this board, I will send you the past meeting minutes from our April 20th meeting, which was our last meeting of the fiscal year, just so you have an idea of how it went. You won't be approving those minutes because they're already approved by the previous board. So, okay, minutes approval. Do you approve, or does anybody have any changes or corrections to the minutes? Wink, wink. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 in favor. All opposed to the approval of the minutes. Seeing none, all abstentions. Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Point of information, if I have a question?
Sure.
Request for information.
Okay, so should I just know that I'm never going to vote, or are there certain cases where I will vote?
You will never vote.
absolutely never vote.
You can respond to straw polls,
Okay.
but you are the non-voting member of the board.
Okay.
Cool. Great, so now we are moving into agenda review. We have 2 minutes for this. Are there any proposed changes or additions to the agenda? Andy?
I'd like to motion to table is it the staff meeting somewhere?
The ICC staff contract, item number 7?
Yeah, the ICC staff contract.
Sure, do you want to give a justification for that?
We're not prepared to discuss it, with the board yet. There is still some, confidential stuff in it, between the two, the staff and the negotiating body. So, we're just not ready to discuss that yet.
Cool. Nick, did you have a comment?
Yes, I don't agree. I think we're ready to discuss. I think, on everything that we have in place can be discussed here.
Okay, so given those differing opinions, I think that if there's a second on Andy's motion, then we will vote. So just to be totally clear here, like Andy's doing this to show, this is a practice, right? So the staff contract is passed, it's fine, you can read it if you want.
Don't be scared.
But if, and actually this is real, like if you want us to do a 10-minute update on the IC staff contract, we can. And if you want us to not do it, we won't. So Andy believes, whether this is really his opinion or not, I kind of put him up to this, that we shouldn't have this item on the agenda. Nick believes we should. Does anybody second Andy's motion to table the ICC staff contract? Okay, second is recognized, so we will vote. It takes a 50% majority of voting board reps to table this item. So even though Nick has an opinion, which is perfectly valid, he cannot vote.
Maybe.
So, So let's see.
See how valid it is.
Okay, all in favor, and so tabling typically means not that this just item goes away forever, poof, gone, it will resurface at another time, and if it never does, or if at the next meeting it's not on the agenda, you can A, email ahead of time and say, hey y'all, this was supposed to be on the agenda, we'd like to hear about it, or B, propose during agenda review during this time in the next meeting that we add it, because you'd like to hear an update. So, seeing a second on Andy's motion to table this item, number 7, ICC staff contract, all in favor of tabling, as in eliminating, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all opposed to tabling, meaning you want to keep it on the agenda. 1, all abstentions. 1, okay,
Now do we?
hold on, 2 seconds, sorry. Can you raise your hand if you're a voting board rep? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. So we are tabling this item.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
A procedural question, because I know
Certainly.
we're doing this practice. So earlier on today in the explanation, I guess, of board procedures, I don't think it was you, but I also don't remember, the person that spoke will remember, I assume, someone was saying that if you choose to abstain, this is just an example, that, and this is new for me actually, but the information that I heard today was if you choose to abstain, that it's not because you don't feel like voting, so to speak, that was, I think, the way it was phrased, or that you don't, whatever, wish to, participate, shall we say, but that you somehow have a conflict of interest. I believe that was the term.
Yeah,
used.
so that's
So would that come into play right now? I don't mean to, sorry, not to like put our new member, one of our new members on the spot. I'm just curious, because that was never questioned, and I also abstain sometimes, not today, but in other,
Sure.
without knowing that.
Right, so there's really no way of forcing people to vote. I think in this situation, if you're abstaining, probably what you should do is ask for clarification. So maybe you looked at this agenda item and you were like, I get the ICC, I get staff, I get contract, but I don't see how those things fit together. I don't really understand what's going on. Is this gonna be a presentation? Are we gonna get up and sing a song about the contract? Like, how is this gonna play out? It's possible. Nick would probably be down to do that. But yeah, so what is this agenda item? That's a really fair question. And if you're gonna abstain, probably it's because you don't know what's coming. Maybe not. I mean, you can ask our friends here why they abstained. But yeah, and so again, it's not really a hard and fast rule. I guess if you really feel like you don't want to belabor the point anymore, you can abstain. But typically, anything that you're wishy-washy on probably is deserving of more discussion. So that's sort of the idea in telling people, really you only abstain if there's a conflict of interest, or if you haven't been at the past board meetings. And so you're totally uninformed to the point where further discussion would be wasting time, belaboring something, disrespectful because all the board members have heard before, whatever. Questions about abstentions? Yeah.
Well, it was so when Andy was the one who brought up that he wanted to table it, he can as a COCO member do that? It's just not voting. You can second, you can participate in any other way.
Propose.
Okay.
Yes, we'll talk more.
Okay.
There's a sheet that will be in your board
Okay.
manuals about exactly who can do what. But yeah, you can propose to add things to the agenda or to table them as a local member, and Andy's gonna look at that for you.
So,
Awesome. Yeah,
To follow up
sure.
on what you just said then, so if we abstain then, we're not really obliged to justify before or after that, are we, or are we? I mean, I'm not, it sounds
So
like
this
maybe
isn't,
we're
so
saying
this
we
is
are.
not a legal or procedural thing. I mean, abstentions typically, the notion here, and basically to be totally honest with you, the reason that we're sort of being a little bit more, I don't wanna say strict, it sounds parental, but a little bit more specific with how we refer to abstentions is because we wanna eliminate any kind of opportunity to cop out, kind of, and we wanna make sure that points are heard and discomfort is heard. So that's part of why we really discourage abstentions. But there's no legal or procedural block on abstaining. It's just a preference based on our shared values, based on wanting everyone to be informed, based on wanting to have a full discussion. Yeah.
Okay, one of the other important things, this is agenda review time, so this is the only time that things can be added to the agenda, or the agenda can be modified. Tabling can happen at any time, so you can, later in this discussion, You can vote to table anything on the agenda, should you so want to. But once agenda review has passed, you cannot add to the agenda.
Yeah, there may be exceptions, that's, I think, largely at my discretion. Sometimes it, like, okay, for instance, someone's coming to give an important presentation and they're running late, and their item is on the agenda, and then we have to table it because they're not here, but then they arrive unexpectedly and we wanna add them back in. Like, I'm gonna allow that because probably they're coming from far away and it's important or whatever. So if the board votes to add them back in, that's okay. But yeah, Andy's right, typically we're not gonna wanna stop an agenda item and be like, hey, can we add something else? Like, not appropriate. Cool, okay, so we've voted to table this, so typically, and what I'll do right now is sort of visually here, delete it, and we'll just move forward, and I'll say, are there any additional changes or additions to the agenda? Emily?
This is weird, and, but I just wanna float the idea that maybe I should bring this as a brainstorm, but, maybe we should come up with a different thing to call monkeys, because I wonder if it could be upsetting for some people, if it comes from like, monkeys about addiction.
Okay. Interesting.
I just wanted to bring that up, I'm sorry.
What, okay.
So when we say monkeys, it comes from something they use at Zingerman's, and it started with, as like monkey on your back, and I wonder if that might bother some people.
Why would it
No, I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna, I think this is a valid point and we can discuss it, but this isn't the time. So,
sorry.
cool, thanks. Alrighty, so now we're moving, so any additional changes to the agenda? We're way over time, so actually, are you keeping time?
On this one I did.
Okay, it'll just be helpful to see what a time extension looks like. Yeah, so it'll happen.
sure it'll happen.
I'm sure it'll happen. Great, thank you, Nick. Okay, seeing none, moving on to member time. Is there anyone here from